I'm not afraid of death. I'm afraid of not trying. So every day, I hit every wave like a Hawaiian. Jay-Z. A recent study came out that showed that humans actually enjoy movies more when they already know what the ending's going to be. Now, I know what you're thinking. This is kind of a weird concept. Why would humans or people want to go see a movie when they already know how it's going to end? Well, this study actually kind of exposes an interesting part of our human psyche. We as humans, we have a desire to know all the answers. We kind of get kind of weird when we don't have access to everything and all the details and everything and all the facts. This makes us nervous, puts us in a state of anxiety. And when you apply this to being an artist, that desire and that innate urge to know something and know all the answers really kind of defines who we are. Let's face it, we are all going to die. This is the one thing in this life that's absolutely guaranteed. We have a finite time in this universe, and as humans, we try to maximize that to its utmost potential, at least most of us anyways. We work hard, we save money, we do these things for the sake of leaving behind something more than just our bodies and our physical being. And that's really what it all means to be an artist. When you're an artist, you're trying to live forever. You're trying to leave something that's going to last longer than you. And really, that's what it's all about. It's not about the money. It's not about the fame. It's not about having the most Instagram followers or all that clout. It's really about leaving behind something that tells your story and what you went through as a human being experiencing something in this realm. And artists have an innate connection to this idea and concept. Every song, every piece of art that you make, every movie you shoot, whatever you do as an artist, you have the desire to share it with the world. I mean, sometimes you might make some art for yourself, of course, but really deep down inside, the whole reason why you're making art is to express yourself to the world. And when this is done correctly and it resonates on a certain level, the whole world will understand this. Think about some of the greatest songs of all time. Think about some of the greatest movies of all time. Think about some of the greatest pieces of art of all time. Some of these things have lasted well beyond the life of the artist who created them. Some of these pieces of art weren't even discovered until after the artist died. And what's interesting about these things is that these moments that we create as artists, and that's what I like to call them, moments, are literal timestamps, not only just in your life, but in society as well. So there's different ways as an artist that you can live forever if you just understand your ability to communicate. And really that's what it's all about as an artist. You're communicating with the world. You're telling the world something that only you kind of see through your perspective and through your eyes. Something that only you can feel. Something that your combination of your synapses, your emotions, your hormones, your body structure that can experience. And those certain moments that you create within your art can be relatable to other artists and other people who listen to your music. And this can go beyond just the time period. This can go on for generations and generations and generations. It's always interesting when I watch people edit their YouTube videos. I look at a very popular song that's used in a lot of YouTube videos is Hello Darkness. That song is used constantly to describe a certain emotion. Sometimes it's used comedically, sometimes it's used seriously. But when you hear that song, typically speaking, you feel a certain type of way. You know that you have a certain type of understanding when you hear this song. And that's the beauty of art. That's understanding your emotional connection to it and spreading that to other people who are looking for that emotional connection. It gets deep though, because it's more than just making a good song. It's more than just making a good piece of art. It's more than just making a good movie. What it's really about is being authentic in your approach. Doing something that is genuine to your being and to your person is the secret to all this. Because I think what a lot of people get confused is that they want to follow the trends. They want to look at what somebody else is doing and being like, well, if that person is successful, then I can do the same thing and get the same results. But when you're dead, that kind of doesn't really matter. They're going to look at the person who did it first, look at the person who did it right. But what you have to understand as an artist is that if you take the time to cultivate your own energy, build your own foundation, build your own perspective, ensure that in a world that is genuine to you, you will never fail. And what I mean by that is that it's not about the money, once again. It's not about the clout. It's not about the Instagram success. It's about expressing yourself in a way that is genuine, that surpasses your physical being. Because that's all we're doing as artists. We're just trying to live forever. And I know what you're thinking. Jaron, how do I go about making music that surpasses my physical being? What does that even mean? Well, one word I always like to go back to is the word legacy. Your legacy is what you stand for. It's what you are. It's what you strive to be. It's what you want to be known as a artist, as a person, as a father, as a mother, whatever you are in this world. Your legacy is basically defining who you are. And if you can't define your own legacy, how do you expect other people to do that first? So honestly, that's where I would start. Define your legacy. Be able to state what you want out of this world and kind of manifest that. Put that out in the universe. Law of attraction, The Secret, whatever, if you follow that. If you don't state what your goals are and what your legacy is, you will never get there. Think of your legacy like a light. The more you put into it, the brighter the light gets. And what's funny about light is that it kind of travels forever. Think about all the stars in the universe. Every single star that you see up in the sky right now has traveled light years and light years and light years just to land in your eye and die and go away. And what's interesting about that is the fact that if you think about those stars, they're so bright, they're so powerful, massive gases and photons and electrons and neutrons, yada, yada, yada. These big balls of energy, they shine so bright that you could see them for millions and millions and billions, trillions of miles away. That's kind of how your legacy works. And I'm talking about verbally stating it, writing it down, telling your friends, posting it on Facebook, etc., so forth, letting the world know that this is what you're striving to be. You think about some of the greatest players in sports of all time, and a lot of times people call them egotistical. Michael Jordan, Muhammad Ali, I'm the greatest, etc., so forth. But what you're doing isn't necessarily egotistical. It's more about manifesting things. And if you're out here saying that you're the greatest all the time, you're telling yourself you're great, you're telling yourself that you're going to be somebody, you want to do things, after a while you start to believe it. And after a while, your actions will follow your words. This is why it's clear that you have to state your intentions, know what your legacy is, and go after it. With that said, once you know what your legacy is, you have to set goals. I'm not talking about, I want 10,000 followers in 6 months or whatever. I'm talking about personal mental goals as a human being in terms of how you want to express yourself. Because keep in mind, you're creating art, and art's all about expression. It's all about who you are as a person. If you know what your legacy is, then you should be able to understand how you want to convey that legacy to other people, how you want to tell your story, how you see yourself approaching it in a manner that is genuine, authentic, and from the heart. If you don't state your legacy and state your intentions, your light's only going to get dimmer. Dimmer, dimmer, and dimmer until it's gone. So these are the goals that you need to state. You need to ask yourself, where do I see myself in 6 months? And this is something that I ask a lot of my clients that I work with when I do creative consultation or whatever. I always ask them, where do they see themselves in 6 months? That's the first question. The next question is where you see yourself in 1 year. And then where do you see yourself in 5 years? If you can't answer these questions, then you need to go back to the drawing board, because no type of creative consultation or song or beat is going to change those things. You have to know where you're going to take your art to. You have to know what people you're trying to reach. You have to know what perspectives you're trying to understand and what perspectives you're trying to convey. You have to understand the world that your music is operating in, which is very, 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 very important. I said very too many times there, but whatever. You have to know the world that your music operates in, or your art operates in. You have to know the world that your art operates in. You have to know what audience you're trying to pull in, the people you're trying to attract. You have to get this streamlined and tunnel vision and focus to these groups of people who are going to resonate with your music. This is how you build a legacy. Because if you can connect with these people will carry your music forever. Think about your favorite artists. Think about an artist like, I don't know, Tupac Shakur, for example, whose music still resonates with people to this day. And, he's been dead for a very long time, but his music still resonates because he created something that was from the heart, genuine, and authentic. And he understood his legacy. He knew that his time on this earth was short. He knew that he didn't have a lot of time left, and he knew that he wanted to live forever, or at least as long as we're around. And the only way to really do that was to put in the work, state your legacy, and set goals for yourself. And this can be applied to all the greatest artists of all time in all genres, in all fields, in all mediums of art. You have to know where you're going. You have to know what your legacy is, where you're going, where you're at, and where you've been. Once you know these things, your path becomes much more clear. You know that you can start blocking out all the BS, like the likes and the follows and all this stuff, even though they are still important to growing a brand. But this is not what this is about. This is about leaving something that defines you, that basically states your legacy to those who are willing to hear it. And that's really what it's all about. And that's how you live forever. I wish you luck. I hope that you find your legacy. State your goals, state your intentions, put it out there, and live forever. Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. Really appreciate it. If you want more videos like that, please let me know in the comments about topics that we can dive into. Please like and subscribe and tell your friends about the channel. I really appreciate y'all. Hope you're staying safe. One love. Peace.